The first light of dawn sliced through the blinds like a guilty secret, painting stripes across Jordan's bare chest. I woke to the rhythm of his breathing, steady but shallow, like he was holding back a storm. My head throbbed from the whiskey haze of last night, the kind that turns best friends into something blurred and dangerous. Jordan. My Jordan. The guy who'd spent years slapping my back at barbecues, calling me bro, while eyeing every girl in the room. Straight as a ruler, to say, laughing it off when I'd tease him about his type. But last night, in that crowded loft party downtown, his eyes had locked on mine over the rim of his glass. Not a bro look. Hungry. Desperate. Like he'd been starving and I was the only meal left. I shifted, my arms still draped over his waist, skin warm and real against mine. The air smelled of stale beer and his cologne, that crisp cedarwood scent he'd worn since law school. Our clothes were a battlefield on the floor, jeans tangled with my hoodie, his button-down crumpled like a white flag of surrender. God, what had we done? My heart hammered, a mix of thrill and terror, as memories flickered back. The laughter turning liquid, his hand on my knee under the table, steadying me when the room spun. Then, outside in the alley, the cool brick wall against my back as his lips crashed into mine. Bref. Urgent. His fingers in my hair, pulling just hard enough to make me gasp. Alex, he'd whispered, voice breaking like glass. I can't stop thinking. A soft groan escaped him now, eyes fluttering open. Blue. Like the Hudson on a clear day, but clouded with regret. He froze, staring at the ceiling, then down at me. At us. His hand twitched, almost pulling away, but it lingered, thumb brushing my hip bone in a way that sent sparks through my veins. Shit, he muttered, voice gravelly from sleep and smoke. The word hung there, heavy as the silence that followed. I waited, breath caught, the distant hum of morning traffic filtering up from the street below like a lifeline we weren't ready to grab. Jordan, I said, testing the waters. My voice cracked, betraying the knot in my throat. 28 years old. Graphic designers scraping by in this overpriced Brooklyn walk-up. And here I was, naked in every sense with the one guy I'd loved from afar since we met at that dive bar orientation mixer 6 years ago. He was 30, all sharp suits and corner office ambitions. The golden boy from Jersey who quoted Hemingway in closing arguments and volunteered at food banks on weekends because someone's gotta give back. Straight. Or so he swore. Every time I'd hinted, every time my heart had twisted at the sight of him with another date. He sat up slow, sheets pooling at his waist, running a hand through his tousled blonde hair. The muscles in his back flexed, a reminder of those pickup basketball games in the park where I'd steal glances, pretending it was just admiration. Alex. Last night. That was. He trailed off, exhaling a long, ragged breath that fogged the air between us. I could hear it, feel it, the war inside him. The good Catholic boy from a family of cops. The one who'd buried his doubts under frat parties and firm handshakes. But I'd seen the cracks. The way he'd linger after our late-night takeout sessions. Feet brushing mine under the coffee table. The texts at 2 a.m., can't sleep. You up? It was real, I pressed. Sitting up too. The cool air raising goosebumps on my arms. My heart pounded like bass from the club we'd stumbled out of. Thump thump against my ribs. You looked at me like you meant it. Flashback hit hard, him backing me against the cab door. Rain starting to spit from the sky. His mouth hot and whiskey sweet. Tasting of forbidden fruit. His hands everywhere. Mapping me like a territory he'd claimed in dreams. A moan had slipped from him then, low and broken, vibrating against my neck as we tumbled through my door, knocking over the lamp in a crash of porcelain and laughter turned gasps. Turned, eyes meeting mine, And for a second, the vulnerability stripped him bare. No sut. No armir. Just Jordan. Lips swollen from kisses that weren't meant for him. I said I was straight, he whispered, voice trembling like the first note of a confession. Before that night. Before you. The words landed soft, but they punched through me. Rain pattered harder now against the window, a steady drum that matched the ache building in my chest. I reached out, fingers grazing his jaw, stubble rough under my palm, that faint salt taste from sweat still lingering on his skin. Why fight it? Best. Throat tight. The room felt smaller, walls closing in with the scent of us, musk and regret and possibility. He leaned into my touch, eyes shutting as if savoring a last drag of a cigarette before quitting cold. Because everything changes. His hand covered mine, warm and calloused from gripping briefcases and barbells. We stayed like that, breath sinking, the city waking outside, horns blaring, a distant siren wailing like a lover scorned. Memories flooded, our first road trip to the Cape, him shirtless on the beach, sand in his hair, me snapping photos to hide the way my pulse raced. The time he crashed on my couch after a bad breakup, his head on my shoulder, murmuring thanks in the dark. Always there, orbiting, never landing. He pulled me closer then, forehead to mine, the heat of him chasing away the morning chill. I looked at you drunk because, sober, it's terrifying. His voice broke on the last word, a hitch that tore at me. Tears pricked my eyes, damn whiskey tears. Or maybe just the weight of it all. I cupped his face, thumbs wiping at the dampness gathering at his lashes. Terrifying good? I murmured, lips brushing his temple, tasting salt and skin. A nod. Barely there, but enough. His arms wrapped around me, pulling us back down into the sheets, bodies fitting like puzzle pieces we'd ignored too long. The kiss started tentative, a question, then deepened into answer, slow, exploratory, tongues tracing apologies and admissions. Hands roamed, rediscovering curves and hollows, breaths mingling in sighs that echoed off the brick walls. The bed creaked under us, a soft protest, as rain sheeted the window in silver streaks. A street vendor's cart rattled by, the sizzle of breakfast tacos frying. But in here, it was just us, heartbeats thundering, skin sliding slick with renewed want. We moved together, unhurried now, dawn light gilding our edges like a halo we didn't deserve. His fingers laced with mine above our heads, pinning gently, eyes locked, blue fire meeting my brown storm. A gasp escaped me as he shifted, filling the space between us, bodies arching in that ancient rhythm. Whispers wove through, I've wanted this, from him. Raw and reverent, me too, from me. A vow. Sweat beaded on his brow, dripping like tears we wouldn't shed. The air thick with the sharp tang of arousal and the faint vanilla from my candle on the nightstand. Climax built like a wave crashing slow. His name on my lips a chant, Jordan? Jordan, as he shuddered, burying his face in my neck. A muffled cry vibrating against my pulse. Followed. Stars bursting behind my eyes. The world narrowing to the press of him. The aftershocks rippling like echoes in an empty hall. We collapsed, tangled and spent, breaths heaving in unison. The rain eased to a drizzle, tapping a gentle Morse code, stay. But reality crept in with the sun climbing higher, shadows shortening. He rolled onto his back, staring at the ceiling fan whirring lazy circles. What now? He asked, a small, fingers still entwined with mine. I turned my head, watching the play of light on his profile, the strong jaw, the faint scar from a childhood by crash he'd told me about over beers. We figure it out, I said, squeezing his hand. One morning at a time. Turned, smiling faint but real, The kind that crinkles his eyes and makes my chest ache sweet. Yeah. One morning, we lay there as the city buzzed to life, coffee brewing downstairs, neighbors shouting goodbyes, the world spinning on indifferent. But in this loft, with its peeling paint and dreams pinned to the fridge, something shifted. Not fixed. Not perfect, just honest. He'd said he was straight before that night. But the way he looked at me now, sober and soft in the light, said forever. Weeks blurred into a fragile rhythm. Stolen lunches in Central Park. His knee against mine on benches overlooking the reservoir. Whispers about telling his folks, someday. Nights where we'd cook pasta in my tiny kitchen. Sauce splattering the stove as laughter bubbled over. His hand on the small of my back like it belonged. But the conflicts simmered. A work dinner where he pulled away too quick from a casual hug. Eyes darting to colleagues, my own doubts. The fear of being the experiment that fizzles. The blow came on a sticky July evening. Humidity clinging like doubt. We'd planned a weekend getaway to the Catskills. Escape the concrete jungle. But at the train station, his phone buzzed, his sister, voice tight on speaker, Mom's asking about that girl from the firm. When are you settling down? She froze. Grip on my duffel whitening knuckles. The platform hummed with announcements. Commuters shoving past. Oblivious. Tell her. I'm seeing someone, he said finally. Voice hollow. Then, to me, eyes pleading, not yet. Alex. Please. It gutted me. A knife twist slow and deep. We boarded anyway. The ride north, a tense silence broken by forced small talk about case files and client pitches. The cabin we rented was rustic charm, creaky porch overlooking misty pines, a fireplace crackling against the chill. Dinner was steak on the grill, smoke curling up like signals, the sizzle masking my swallowed hurt. Wine flowed, loosening tongues but not knots. That night, under quilted blankets, he reached for me fierce, like apology in motion. Body collidé d'urgent, hands gripping hips, nails digging crescents into skin. His mouth trailed fire down my chest, breaths hot and ragged. I'm sorry. Good. I'm sorry, as I arched, fingers threading his hair, pulling him closer. The bed frame rattled against log walls, our moans blending with the hoot of an owl outside, raw and unrestrained. Release came explosive, him collapsing atop me, tears wetting my collarbone. I love you, he gasped, the words tumbling free like a dam break. First time. My heart soared, then plummeted, but chained. Morning brought clarity, harsh as black coffee. We hiked the trails, boots crunching leaves, birdsong piercing the fog. At a overlook, valley sprawling green and endless. He stopped, turning to me wind-tousled. I can't hide forever. His voice carried over the rustle of branches. Steady now. But I'm scared. Of losing them. Of losing me. I nodded, throat burning, pulling him into a hug that smelled of earth and pine. Then we fight for both. Back in the city, it escalated. A bar fight with his old frat buddy who slurred, fag, after too many shots, Jordan's fist connecting with a crack. Blood on his knuckles. Me dragging him out into the neon night. Therapy sessions he dragged me to. The shrink's office smelling of chamomile tea. Words spilling. Internalized shame. The boy who'd kissed a teammate in high school and buried it under football pads. Our first public handhold at a pride rally. Rainbow flags snapping in the breeze. His palms sweaty but sure. The climax hit in October. Leaves turning fire orange underfoot. His firm's holiday party. Black tie in a midtown ballroom. Chandeliers dripping light like diamonds. He introduced me as my partner. Alex, voice projecting clear over jazz swells and clinking glasses. Jaws dropped subtle, the paralegal's raised brow. The senior partner's polite nod masking shock. His mother called later that week, voice quivering over the line, "We love you, son. Whoever makes you happy." Tears then. His head in my lap on the couch, my fingers combing his hair as sobs racked him, cathartic and cleansing. Through it all, the little things anchored us. His post-its on my drafting table, fuel up, artist, with a sketched heart, my playlists for his commutes, ballads that crooned our story. Fights too, me storming out after a canceled date, him chasing me down rain-slick streets, apologies shouted over thunder, making up wild, bodies slick and forgiving on the fire escape, city lights twinkling witnesses below. A year on, that dawn feels like prologue. We're in a new place upstate now. Views of rolling hills from our king bed, where mornings start with coffee kisses and no more hiding. He still quotes Hemingway, but now it's us against the world. The world breaks everyone. But those who don't get broken get strong at the broken places. Meaningful? Yeah, in the scars. The growth. He said he was straight before that night. But the way he loves me now, that's the truth we built. One touch. One endless morning at a time.